My article is called "When is a Market Not a Market? Exemption, Externality and Exception in the Case of European State Aid Rules." What I'm trying to do in this article is understand the logics and justifications which are available and at work within the neoliberal state for delineating those instances where the state may legitimately intervene and override market forces and the valuation system of the price mechanism, which is the ultimate valuation system in a market society. And I think this issue has become of widespread concern and interest over the last 5 years, given the unusual ways in which the state and the market have interacted, and the very unusual ways in which the state has intervened in particular areas of the market, specifically in financial services, over the last 5 years since the depths of the global financial crisis in the autumn of 2008. So one of the reasons why I wanted to write the piece was to look at neoliberalism in a slightly more nuanced way, to look beyond the assumption that neoliberalism simply is about the elevation of markets or some form of market fundamentalism, and to look more closely at the precise ways in which states and markets interact in a neoliberal society, partly so as to shed some light on what's been going on over the last 5 years with all of these very unusual types of state intervention, such as the bailing out of banks, quantitative easing, unusual things going on within the European Union, such as unelected economists being made Prime Minister in nations such as Greece and Italy. So I went about this by turning to a particular body of law and economics, which is European Commission state aid rules. And this is quite an interesting set of texts, because within that body of law and of economics you see an attempt dating back to the 1950s to delineate precisely those cases where member states within the European Union are recognised to have a legitimacy in acting and overriding market forces. And what I do in the article, by reading the state aid rule documents from the 1950s through to the period during and after the financial crisis, is try to understand the particular logics and justifications that you can see within those texts, where the European Commission effectively is saying to member states, here are some particular cases, here are some particular situations and principles and techniques of evaluation to try and work out when the market should be left to its own devices and when you might be able to act for other non-market reasons, social reasons, issues such as social welfare, public services and so on. And what's interesting when you get to the autumn of 2008 and the documents that emerge then and in the months that follow, is you see a new type of logic emerge from the European Commission, which I would argue is one which is what I describe as the exception, borrowing from the political theorist Carl Schmitt, where effectively the European Commission says to member states, where financial services are at work and where the very functioning of a free market economy is at work, you can do whatever you consider to be necessary, just so long as you notify us that you're going to do it. You have permission to act without any appeal to norm or principle or law, effectively. Just do whatever you think is necessary to rescue your financial system and effectively rescue the very possibility of a free market economy. Notify us that you're going to do it, and then once this period has passed, we'll get back to a regular rule of law. So the exception, I think, is a particularly interesting way of understanding why states have been acting as they have done over recent years, and also understanding how that differs from other types of logic which have been available in the past in terms of offering states justifications for intervening in their economy for reasons that might be called normative exemptions or technical externalities. So those are some of the things that I try to do with this article.